Well, welcome to the Asia Oceanic Ultimate Championship semifinals in the mixed division. It's gonna be an exciting match between China and the Philippines. And we're off the races here as we start the point. China will start on O as they won an exciting match. U-point against Akala earlier. And on the flip side, Philippines winning it against Freak Show Singapore. So see who's going to strike first in this amazing semifinals match. This is Jonathan Santos joined with Avril Tam.
As you said, John, fantastic quarterfinals. It felt like anyone could win it. China getting up on Universe Point against Akala club from Japan. So hard-earned spot here in the semi.
And a lot of extremely good matchups here. And a quick hook down the field. It's going to be good to go for number 20. None other but Noor, but looks like
a bit of an injury as well. So an emphatic way to start the very first point, but a little bit of a loss there if he is injured. Noor absolutely lit up the live stream yesterday when they played against Singapore. Singapore coming out top in that game and India top of their pool. So China having to go against the undefeated Akala. They have certainly earned this semi-final spot, and I'm sure Noor has contributed a significant amount to that.
Indeed at that. And China, seeing here the strong team in the white jersey. Strong showing in this tournament so far, right? Being able to win it all against Akala.
Yeah, so as we said, Noor, he has had 22 offensive stats on the board, 4 assists to go with 18 goals. As we saw there, he's a huge target in the end zone, both height and with the big frame and the wide shoulders. So if there is an injury cloud here affecting the participation in the rest of this match, that will be a real loss for Team China.
Indeed, and goes without saying, as we'll see, take a look at Filipinos' offense here. It looks like a little bit of a zone defense. First time I've seen this from China, right? And I think rightfully so, as they know how strong Philippines is. As you can quickly see, they move it quickly downfield. They're already right near their end zone so far. The sit number 55, Peralta, all the way to Dakumos.
So Team China's zone basically just clogging up that middle space. You can see there's basically 4 moving together in a bit of a diamond, or you'd say 3 in the cup and then an extra person there just clogging up the middle. So they are forcing Philippines to move side to side. Philippines currently playing into the hands as desired.
Foul is going to be called there. I think it's going to be between number 10, Dakumos from Philippines, and number 29 from China. 28 other Lai. So again, early adjustments from China, giving that zone defense here, Avril.
Yeah, pretty still conditions at the moment. We did have a few gusts of wind in the first time slot. Flags are relatively still, but you can see a bit of inconsistency, which might help the zone.
Here we go, moving at one side. This is Dakumos. Actually, Awid, or Kiboy, locally known. Doing a good job. China is forcing them on one side and moving them backwards. And here's Awid. Swings it to the other side. To 81. Here's Peralta. It looks like a pick's going to be called in the middle of that field.
Yeah, going to be some contact. I see someone on the ground from the Philippines. And looks like accepted quickly.
And this is going to be Yvonne Lamigo. It's going to retain the possession for Philippines. One of the Filipina stars recently joined Sunken Pleasure and recently won a national title back in May. Good to see her represent Pilipinas. And again, this is the semifinals match in the mixed division between Philippines and China. So you're just joining in as we get back to the action. Lamigo gives it to Dacumos. Dacumos. Again, Philippines being forced backwards here. Making them force those tricky and high, risky pass. A little bit tight here, Peralta.
Yeah, China have done well. They're trapping it to this close sideline here, trying to force a narrow channel or a high-risk shot like that.
And if you're China, oh, bobbled fingers, almost a turnover, but able to reel it in. Ambida passes it to Dacumos, or Awid. Or actually, that's Dacumos. To Peralta, high pass, able to reel it in, all the way to Awid.
Definitely agree, John. As you said, if your team China, be pretty pleased with the lack of progress from Philippines. As you said, push them backwards and then push them to the side. They are absolutely achieving their goal with this zone defense look.
So far, it's just between those handlers and a great movement there from Peralta to attack that cup to get some yardage. But then again, some momentum is being stopped because of that China zone defense. And here we go, quick to the races here. Awid to Peralta. Peralta able to punch it in for the score. And that was Dacumos giving Philippines their first point, ties it at 1.
So respect to Philippines for keeping a cool head. That wasn't an easy offensive point. Trapped on that close sideline, you can often be baited into, letting one rip deep just because you want to end the misery, so to speak. But really well, couple of scoobers over the cup to get it off that sideline to the fat side. And then China eventually, the resistance was not enough to the surge of the Philippines O-line.
But asking you there, Avil, you've got to be, if you're China there, you got to be happy with at least, not just with the result, but at least what they're able to make Philippines sweat a little bit as early in this early stage of the game.
Yeah, I think, I'm sure they've watched the footage of Philippines and they understand that the style of the offense is very fast movement as well as very quick legs, right? So I think it's a good way to assert yourself on defense. Be like, we're not going to give you an easy path, let you play the way you want to play. We're going to slow you down and make you throw a bunch of passes.
Indeed. And just looking back here, looks like Noor from China is A-OK as he's in this line. So good to see. Because he's going to be huge for this team, for the nation, if they want to get a spot into the finals.
I just want to highlight that previous point, that took 6 minutes. So it took 6 minutes for Philippines to get that hold.
Here we go. Quick move is here, Noor. Looks like
pick called.
Pick is gonna be called, so it's gonna stay with Noor. And you'll see here Dong will be part of the handlers of China. You will get it back here, Dong. Dong looking downfield. Excellent match person defense. How Dong rips it through. One-on-one battle. It's gonna be carefully won by Noor. Again, second point of this game.
Noor absolutely ruling the skies. We know the vertical jumps that the Philippines players have. That's a tough assignment. They jumped a little early, I think, because Noor had gained the position and read that just better. And, they were getting close, but Noor absolutely dominating already early in this game.
Indeed, as we can look at that replay, Stalkout was definitely rising, had no other decision just to rip it through. Noor. Presence of mind, not that she'll jump, but know that he had that lead position, as you mentioned.
And that was a copy-paste of the first point. Assist from Dong Chen T. Noor with the goal. So, some early shooters and early targets.
Indeed, and I think if you're China, you gotta be happy here so far, both offensively and defensively. So, Back here the D-line for China.
Yeah, so in contrast, like we said, that previous point for Philippines O-line, that took 6 minutes for them to score. In contrast, China, 1 minute 55 on the clock. So the quick, efficient offensive hold simply puts the pressure straight back to the Philippines O.
It looks like that was actually Tiang Ki Dong, rather, number 3 of China's 23rd assist in this tournament, finding his favorite target in Neuer. So let's see how Philippines, again, we're going to go back to this zone defense.
Yeah, I think this is a good move. As I said, just make the Philippines O-line uncomfortable. Make them play a different game to what they enjoy doing. And I think this trap sideline isn't too bad, but they haven't managed to contain that. And so Philippines works their way over to the fat side.
I think a little adjustment I can see is they're more conscious of taking just a few seconds. If they don't see what they want, quickly swing it, or doing that very cheeky hammer throw to the other side. Swing here to Awid. Punches it through to Peralta. Be between these two players now. Awid to Butil, and now calling a man now.
Oh, and the wide fat side, not quite in bounds. Good vision.
But able to still punch it through. Philippine does. Ties the game at 2.
That was much nicer zone offense by Philippines. I think the difference between this point and the previous offensive point was that once they managed to get it beyond the cup, they actually continued on. So they continued utilizing the break side, or what we call the fat side of the field. If you can get more meters gained on that side, you can usually advance much better. And then, you know, rather than playing into the defense's hands and going, oh, we'll just take the easy option back into this close sideline or trapped sideline.
Indeed, but if you're Philippines there, that's a faster play for them against the zone defense of China, right? So they're going to be equally as happy as well. Quick adjustments, rather, right? I think probably Coach Felix Angge, Miguel Ramos, as well as Kenneth de Guzman, noticing, like, look, guys, we have to move quicker against this zone if we want to be in a positive side.
So nice clean holds for both sides so far, just settling into the game. And Philippines now with a zone look of their own.
Quite surprised, but looks like that's going to be their strategy. Going to say, you want to play a zone against us? We'll do it again to you. We'll do it for you guys as well.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough, right? The offensive holds by China have taken 1 minute and 1 minute 55. So they're also recognizing that China like to play a fast offense, and a zone is a perfect way to try and slow them down.
Right, and this is going to be a matchup over the ages here. We have Christian Guerrero in the middle, manning that little bit in the middle against Neuer.
So China also using the over-top throws as well. Now a big cut goes.
And here goes a one-on-one battle against Neuer, and it's going to be one against Max Sumbi.
What a D! Sumbi in the sky. This time getting the steps and out-positioning Neuer. I thought we might have a third point in a row where it's Dong to Neuer, but Sumbi says, no, I'm up for the battle. I'm up in the sky high. There we go. Beautiful pressure there by the shorter Sumbi.
That's going to be a matchup that we're going to take a look here, because Edgar Sumbi, or locally known as maximum effort there on the D. But Max and Neuer is a matchup going to look like. Here is Sakapanyo. And there's going to be a foul there.
So is his nickname Max? Can you tell us the background behind that, John?
I have no idea. I just ran with it. That's what the name has been known. But anyone in the chat, if anyone can definitely explain why Max, I just say it's Max because maximum opportunity. Or here we go, quick move it's here, and this is Max. Sakapanyo sends it to Cortez near the end zone. Fakes there, fakes another there. Waiting for some teammates, Sakapanyo. Easy score to Sumbi, giving Philippines their first lead.
And that is the classic Filipinos ultimate that we are here for, John. That fast break, fast offense. Those legs just churning away, eating up meters on the ground. That was incredible offense from their defensive line. As you said, a huge defensive effort by Sumbi, and then they are off to the races. Meters gain. We can't even see the disc in frame. Nuer scrambles there to cover the deep option, but great composure by the Philippines here just to spot the open player. And what a way to get your first break of the game.
As you can see here in the Philippines, all smiles. And that's a very tactical move from Philippines, putting Edgar Sumbi in the Titan position there to guard any long opportunities. As you see, they're able to get it against Nuer, as they know, probably in the scouting. This is the guy that China is going to target.
Yeah, Philippines will have to shut down Nuer if they're going to make progress in this game, as they did in that previous point. And I think, China maybe being a bit predictable. Dong going for Nuer and a Hawk again, number 3. Like third time, surely Philippines is reading that play.
Here we go. This is number 5. And here again, it will be a match person defense. Quick movement so far from the Chinese handlers. You can see the sideline from Philippines shouting instructions.
Yeah, I think they've transitioned from a zone to match now.
Indeed, and here's number 23, Chen. Number 6, Chen. Looking.
So you can see that sag in that open under space, forcing that narrow channel throw.
Indeed, giving too much of a heat, and Yang able to get it. And here's Chen. Chen, forehand.
Ooh.
Rifles it through. Gets it to go for the score.
That is a lovely offensive hold by China. This time, knowing that Philippines have put more focus on the shutdown long option, making use of the undercuts. I have to say, I like that defensive look by the Philippines. They had a female matching player. I couldn't see who it was, but she was sagging and poaching into that open lane, which forced some high-risk options. And yes, they didn't get the block here, but that does apply pressure, narrows, the receivers that can be targeted. And I think that was a really nice defensive adjustment there by Philippines.
Indeed, and I think also something to take note from China, Nuer wasn't part of it online. As you look at that replay, that excellent put, but something to take note, that's the first time any other player than Nuer. So, if you're China, you'll be happy with that. Look, we have other options, other players that we take out, so we don't become, as you said, predictable.
Yeah, and I think that the put that Joe put up for the assist, that was a really high difficulty throw. She had to curve it beyond the defender and around the defender, so she put just enough edge on that disc, outside in shape. Her receiver didn't have to break stride at all. Yang there with the score.
And here we go, Philippines. Get it back here. It's a match person defense. Oh no, it's going to be zone defense presented by China. Rightfully so, try to slow down the offense of Philippines.
So again, trapping to this close sideline, you can see there are no forward options. He really only has that dump around break or a high shot. And Team China do have some height and hops, don't they, John?
Do indeed, right? Also the length as well. So they are equally matched if you look at it just on eye test. And look at that blade throw.
Ooh.
Complete. Hoo, hoo, hoo.
Nuer breathing down your neck. Had some nerve to keep hold of that disc.
And here's a 1-2 between Butil and Martinez. Here's Awid. Butil attacked that, but great crashing from the defense. Floaty pass secured by Dacumos. Dacumos thought about it. Gotta wait for a little bit more. And here's Butil.
China sticking with that zone. So again, just clogging up this front space.
And here punches it through for this next score. And that was Chua. Won't be denied for Philippines' 4th point.
Nicely done by the Philippines. There were several close bids by the Chinese team. Close but clean though. So despite a lot of pressure breathing down their necks, Philippines holding their nerve.
That was Isabel Chua. Been playing 16 years. And part of the Binibinis are women's teams from the last year's AOBUC champions.
Beautiful shot up line and a fantastic bid there by the Chinese defender as well to make sure that was some pressure applied. As we said, coming out firing on defense, not just for this point, but that does set the tone and just causes some nervous moments, hopefully to bank for later on in the game. But Philippines, as we know, they came through the very top of their pool, defeating Alliance, Sambo Rice, IQ, and Guam, and Chinese Taipei, and then won their quarter fairly convincingly. I think this was the biggest margin in the quarterfinals, 15-9 against Prefecture from Singapore. So Philippines undefeated so far in this tournament. What will they do? You know, the closest score has been 12, so I think this will be a much tighter match, and it'll be interesting to see how Philippines can respond to this increase in intensity.
Indeed, and here goes Philippines now. Going back to the zone. Quick movements here from China. Here's Dong. Liu Adder gives it back to Chen. Chen swings it to the other side, number 23. Chen gets it back here. So far, so good. No, not a lot of forward motion for China.
No, I think Philippines' zone is doing a good job. They're really prioritizing that sag in that open lane. This one's a high shot. They don't have a defender, but does ask a bit of the Chinese receiver to maintain possession.
Here's 23 Chen. Almost a D there, but able to squeeze it in. China does. Another tight pass. Chen able to make some movement here for China. Gets it back. And looks like they're going to switch the man here momentarily.
The players just kind of walking. They look a little bit uncertain about the defensive structure, so that does allow China to gain fair yardage.
Here's Chen. Stall count is rising. He's got to shoot it to the end zone. Carefully so, able to dive and catch it for the goal.
Okay, so there's some up calls from Team China. Philippines is calling it out, I think. It looks like either a down or an out call. I'm not quite sure from the hand signals. It looks like in between both. But yeah, look, it's definitely worth a question, right? That disc was very low. Receiver had to really scoop underneath. And I'm not sure what the game advisor's indicating or saying. See on the replay, as you said, it's a higher stall count. This blade, I think the receiver didn't quite read how quickly it was coming in. But either way, the discussion is resolved and they will call it a goal. So China working through a variety of players now. They've been basically clean holds in this game, bar that one clean break by Philippines. So very high level of ultimate right now, John.
Correct. And strategy on both teams on full display, right? Making minor adjustments, micro adjustments in between points, right? You can see a zone in the first half of the field. Once they see that's moved past the second part of the field, move to a man. So like you're not sticking on what we've seen so far in some teams. Like we see they would stick to zone all the way. These teams are quick to move or adjust.
Yeah, China did hold their zone, I think, until the end on one of their previous points. So I think maybe they'll probably look at adjusting that because the match in the end zone is probably more effective. But like I said, Philippines currently undefeated and looking to stay this way until they hopefully make the final, John.
And it's good to see, right? I mean, well, looking here for China, as we're talking about it days before, we're just happy in terms of how much improvement the program is, as you can see here in the semifinals in a spot. So,
and such a floaty pool that pins Philippines back in the end zone. Unfortunately, the defense a little slow to get set up, not taking full advantage of that float.
Indeed, and this is Dakumos in the power position. Opts for a short pass here to Lamigo. Awid. Looks like a pick is going to be called. It's going to be returned momentarily to Awid.
I was just going to say the stack is quite far back at the moment. They haven't quite adjusted for that dump, which means that really it's only the under space that's available. The deep shot isn't on because there's already people sagging in that space.
Here on the same side for Philippines, this is Butil. Swings it to Awid. To Peralta, gives it back to Awid. Calm and collected Philippines is, so far, Awid. I'm going to say his name a lot because he's been a steady handler for Philippines. Butil, great backhand, break side. Gonna open it up for Philippines. And it's gonna be a smooth point from Awid to Dacumos for the 5th point of Philippines.
Yeah, it's very interesting. The field is very quiet, John, but also like very calm, I think. And that might be, you know, the aura that O-lines tend to have. They don't need a lot of faff. They're just like, just get the job done, easy as you like. I think that's the best thing is like when you're playing offense, you just want to feel relaxed. And I think that's exemplified by the high caliber and the number of clean holds. Only the 1 turnover in this game so far. Both O-lines humming along nicely.
And indeed, yes, I think it just goes to show where both of these nations mentally are, right? Like they're not too high, they're not too low. They're just, to your point, right? In that flow state, like, look, this is an early game, nothing to get panicked.
Yeah, for sure. Although, given that China are down a break, I would like to see maybe a little bit more noise on the sideline, a little bit more pressure there when they are on defense. You don't want to kind of let let the game run too late before you mount a charge back.
Indeed, and we'll see how it goes here for China's O-line. I don't see Noor in that O-line again. Probably a strategic move there.
Yeah, interesting. Like we said, it looks like he might have done an injury. Don't know if he had some pre-existing issues aggravating it in that first point. So maybe just saving the legs for the crucial points in the game and trusting the team to get the job done.
Here's a zone defense again from Philippines. Chen gets it back. Oh, rips through a forehand pass, but no one's there. A forced play.
Just when I said the O-lines were looking so steady, they proved me wrong.
And here is Lance. Agnes. Hortelano gets it back, or gives it to Agnes rather.
Flat mark applied by China to deter the huck, but
here he goes, Agnes, a one-on-one battle. Oh, and Hortelano, double hop and all to be able to get the 6th point. Break opportunity converted by the Philippines.
Jeez, I thought that was a misread by the female matching player. I don't think he was the intended target, but way to go by Hortelano there to pick it up on the 2nd attempt after he kind of misread the first one. I was just saying that China initially had a flat mark to deter the hucks, but Philippines were like, you know what, we're going to play our game. We don't care what you're trying to stop. Let's force the issue here. And blink of an eye, they're already up 2 breaks.
Indeed. And I think also, you mentioned a little bit of a misread for the Filipina matching player, and good by Hortelano to realize that. And that's why he got that 2 bunny hops to be able to get that score. Yes, 2 points already. A 2-point lead.
Yeah, and the D-line for Philippines, they're the real champions so far in this half. Getting opportunities and converting them immediately. And I think the speed of conversion is also a big factor, isn't it, John? They're just scoring those points as soon as they get the disc.
And looks like Noor is going to be... Is he inside that lineup? Just wanted to see. It looks like he is part of that lineup. And here's number 11, Liu. Liu, who's actually one of the stars in China, right? And see how they can use her for a moment. So here, number 14, Pan. Pan. Looking. Gives it to Liu. Great patience there. Sends it back to Pan. Pan. To Dong. Dong signaling downfield. He's looking for his favorite target. But he's got to swing it back to Pan.
Noor has company in the end zone. Filipinos, like we said, wise to him being a huge target. All the way back, Dong. Philippines defense applying so much pressure. And you know the difference is that you can hear the loud sideline.
Oh, there's a very blady pass there to slice through that zone defense and able to give some huge yardage. This is Liu. A foul's going to be called, but way to slice it through that zone defense, Avril.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, when Philippines is on defense, their sideline are loud, right? They are building up the intensity, and I think that's a big reason why they've been able to generate opportunities and 2 breaks already. It's because they are really giving to their team, hyping them up. The D-line, you want some hype, you want some high-energy stuff. And, you know, on the opposing end, China being driven back all the way here. There's another opportunity.
Great read there by Pan to keep it alive. And this is Dong. Dong signaling it down to the end zone, but no avail. And here's Dong. Hammer throw, spicy and all. Rips it through for the score. And that is Liu.
Goodness me, China. They were made to work hard for it. I believe the receiver is Yang Na there with the score. Positioned herself perfectly and showing off a lovely designed hat. Love the colouring on that one. Dong, who's been an absolute trigger happy here, both on the big hucks and the huge hammer. And I love the positioning there. You know, the wing offense sometimes doesn't get a lot of credit, but they have to work really hard to keep that deep defender engaged. Make sure, obviously, deep defender worried about Nua in that deep space. She slides there nicely into the pocket.
And I think that's a good thing to take notice of China. If Nuer needs to be a decoy at some points, as you can see, they're glued towards him. They all know it's only Nuer. It's Dong to Nuer. But Dong, realizing that someone was open, and that was number 21, Yang.
Yep. So Dong with 3 assists to name already. Saying that, I agree, Liu was huge in their quarterfinal yesterday against Singapore. Sorry, not quarterfinal. It was their top of pool clash against Singapore. And I'm sure she'd like to assert herself a bit more on this game.
Then off the races here. Here's Philippines. And here we go, in his own defense. Awid gives to Butil. Butil. Actually, there's a little bit of a, let's say a little bit shove there.
Yeah, a bit of a nudge, wasn't it?
Nudge. Nudge is a better term. I would say shove is a little bit too powerful. But I feel it's because China's really trying to tighten up that cup.
Yeah, you can see how close all the players are. I mean, fair enough. Like, the Filipinos players are also crashing very, very close. But, yeah, this trapping sideline, I think, is a decent idea. They have managed to get some bodies under the disc in previous times. It's just a matter of time that they force an error, hopefully, if you're Team China.
That is correct. And Team China here, number 77, is in that cup. Zhang. Here we go. Tahumos. Gives it back to Butil. It's going to be between these two players. And there's Peralta. Gives it to Awid. Awid punches it through to his teammate. Quick movements here, Avril, as they make easy pickings of the zone defense of China. Almost a turnover, but able of a one-hand grab by the reliable Peralta. Martinez to Peralta.
So interestingly, it's almost like a match, but a loose poach in the lane. But then they allow this one to go. So they've got to communicate a little bit better. Otherwise, Philippines will absolutely rifle it through.
Indeed in that, Awid. Again, that easy pass to Peralta. They got to put some more tightness into that place. Here's Peralta. Quick score there. Easy pickings.
Yeah. Look, I don't think that a containment zone or like a poachy match is going to work against Philippines. You need to get your presence felt. You need to have, hip on hip, shoulder on shoulder. Not physically, but close enough you have that perceived pressure.
Yes.
Because Philippines, they have the composure to be able to play through and throw plenty of passes, throw the high shots, especially the conditions are very favourable. Throwers breeze at the moment. So, look, I think you need the higher intensity on defense. And like I said, I think that's the difference between the Philippines defense and the Chinese defense. Chinese defense, use your sideline. use your aggressive match. We know you can make those bids. Get that pressure on. Force the issue.
Indeed. I haven't. Do you think a match person defense is the next call here?
Yeah, look, I would like to see a match defense. Look, yeah, you might be a little bit afraid of the Philippines and their speed, but you can put a match, you can even bracket, you can help defense. There's a few variations on the theme to the match, right? Doesn't mean you have to stick on your player one-on-one.
Indeed, great insights there given by Avril Tam. And I think, yes, I do agree. Gotta give a different look here, Philippines. The Philippines are getting really comfortable against that zone defense. So we'll take a look, but stick back here in Newer. He's going to be back here in the O-line for China. This is Liu.
Very tight cut by the Philippines. You can see Hackles. Oh! And over the top, very sneaky.
And you can see here Liu being more active than ever, really pushing the action here and really trying to showcase and help out China as she's part of that handler line, and Dong rips it through again.
Who else to target?
And it's gonna be carefully, no, just too far out, but looks like
might be an injury call. It's an awkward fall as he tried to read the fading disc.
Oh, this is something. Oh, it's not actually Newer, actually. This is number 1. Liu Yunfei, as you take a look at the replay.
So Dong again, the designated shooter for this team. He had a 1-on-2. Oh, and that's a very awkward fall. Or maybe there might be some cramp potentially.
Looks like there's a discussion on that contact.
Foul? Yeah.
Probably. It looks like a foul's being called between Lee Boon and Liu Yunfei. I'm going to have the translator from the China team to help out.
Yeah, it's always tricky when you're going up in the middle of two defenders. I think the Philippines boys had the read on that one. I don't know that Liu had a bid, but maybe his argument was that, his second bid attempt was impeded. He maybe thought he could have managed to get a run and a layout or something like that to track that second fall after deflection.
Great thing to bring that up. Yes, usually that's been some of the conversations in the past I've heard where first bid no good, but probably the second bid where there the contact happened. And that's what the discussion is coming from. Going to be a lengthy discussion here, given because of the translation needed. But again, China sticking with their guns here with throwing those hawks.
Yep, big guns by Dong all round. Like we said already, the 3 assists is looking for number 4. But look, I wouldn't be surprised again. When it's lengthy discussions, they obviously don't agree on the same perspective. Surely it's going to go back.
Surely. Yes, I think you've been, if we're tracking the stats of that, April, you've been 100% converted on that.
Oh, that's a good win for the week for me, I think.
But yes, I think as we take a pause in the action, it's been a very exciting pair of games I've been able to witness here, Abel.
Oh, absolute privilege, John, to be here, isn't it? The Asia Oceanic Ultimate Championships, the 2025 edition. We've had such a wonderful time here in Ibaraki, Kamisu City, Japan. Bright sunny day for the volunteers, for JFGA and the World Flying Disc Federation, bringing this broadcast to your screens. And what an opportunity to showcase many different cultures, different nations, different styles of ultimate competing at such high levels. It's been a real joy to be here in the booth. And no surprises, looks like the disc will come back. And they're just working out where the stall count was. And Dong, I think he might be opting for a slightly shorter option on the replay.
If I was a betting man, I probably is going to go for a hawk. But I think I'll lose that bet. As you can see there, Dong opts for a short pass. Here's number 14, Pan. Pan gives it to Dong. Dong looking. It looks like Newer's been shouting with all of his might, saying, I'm wide open here, mate.
There, they finally find him, waving his arms in frustration, and eventually an easy flip into the end zone for the score. Liu, Dong, Pan, Mu all heavily involved in that point.
And Liu, actually, the youngest of the team at the age of 45 years old, mate. Oh my, as we take a look at the replay. Amazing there, Liu Yunfei. And again, you're going to be happy here if you're China being able to get a score there despite that zone.
Yeah, that's definitely a captain's goal. Liu Yunfei, like you said, level-headed at 45 years old, competing with a much younger brigade. But, you know, it's not only the physical speed and the attributes that you need to make a team. You need to keep level-headed, good strategic game, people who are able to bring everyone together on the same page. And Fei indeed showing that he hasn't lost any speed. Does not look out of place at all, Jonathan.
Indeed.
45 could be easily 25.
Indeed at that. And I think it's a more, going back to this in our sport that we extremely love, right? Excited to see people of all ages, especially those that are older, continues to be competitive, right? And it just hopefully inspires people like myself to say, don't quit yet, as you can see there from Liu, still competing at this matchup.
And we were talking after that previous China defensive point, we want to see a more aggressive defense structure. Looks like they've opted for that same containment zone. I do not think this is the way to win the game. I think if you're going to set a zone, you need to set an aggressive one. One which is forcing the disc into a certain space to give someone else the chance to make a bid and make a play. So forcing them side to side, this is not going to win you the game. Like force middle, force one side, do something. Too easy. Just finding all the holes in the wall.
Indeed. Right? Being able to pick them apart, just like picking apples from a short tree. And here's Awid. And credits to the Philippines being extremely patient now. Earlier in the point, it seemed a little bit out of place when they got the zone, but now able to regroup and say, let's just be steady and slow.
Yeah, I think they've done well to take what they're given, right? Like, we know that their default offense is this really quick movement, but they've done quite well to say, you know what, we can play this game if you want us to. We don't only have one way to attack this offense.
Looks like there's going to be a double team that's going to be called here. And there'll be stall 0 because of that, so Lamigo will retain this, but this is where you want to be if you're Philippines. A huge mark there, but look, just as I said that, quick forward pass.
Yeah, way to squeeze it up the line and not afraid to use the small channels here. China now again with this containment. It feels like it's just a matter of time until Philippines scores.
Indeed, and they're just like, they're presented with so many options here, as you can see, right? And just like that, that brings us into half now as Philippines take it with a score of 8. To your point, Avril, that's not the way to go if you're China defensively.
And that was exquisitely clean half, Jonathan. Would you believe, other than the 2 breaks, which were clean, they've been all been clean holds for all the other scores. So we've raced away to half very quickly in this game. As we said, defense of China just lacking the intensity at the moment, not able to apply any pressure on the Filipinos offense, but the Philippines defense being the shining light in the first half of this game. Once they get possession, rifling it in very quickly for the score, and that is standing them in good stead to take this semi-final to advance the gold medal match.
Indeed, and that actually will put Philippines to start in 0 in the second half there. So there's something to take note as we approach the second half. China's got to figure out a way and how to slow this the offense of Philippines. As we take a short break here between China-Philippines mixed division semifinals live from Kamisu City. This is the Oceanic Ultimate Championships. And we're back here. If you're just joining in the stream, this is the second half in the mixed division semifinals match between China and Philippines, where Philippines is up 8-6. My name is Jonathan Santos. Joined with me is Avril Tam as we continuously call this exciting matchup. What are some of the adjustments you feel China's got to do here, Avril?
So we talked a little bit in the first half. The China zone defense is a type of defense which just want to contain and force Philippines to throw lots of shots. I think Philippines have proven themselves to the task. So my thoughts are, adjustments-wise, you need to put on a defense which is a little bit more presence, bit more body. Either you put on a zone where you are forcing middle or forcing one side, and the downfield defense, you know, if you're channeling the disc in that direction, it gives the downfield defense to intercept, get a block, get a sniff, and compete, right?
Indeed, yes. I think you are spot on there. Just being more aggressive.
Yes. You need to apply some psychological pressure here. When it's, you know, big semi like this, you know, it's a game of very fine margins.
But so far, it's not the case here for China. So I think you're going to stick with this containment zone.
Yeah, and as we've said, it's been clean holds all round, right? Aside from those 2 breaks that the Filipinos have managed, the clean holds, it means that they are not affecting any pressure on the Filipinos offense with this solid D. So, you know, definition of insanity is repeating the same thing again. I think the coaching staff have got to look at a different strat.
Indeed, yes. But so far, that's how they're going to start. It looks like a wrapping infraction is going to be called against the China player. Nonetheless, we'll get it back here. Awid gives it back to Martinez. Martinez gives it to Awid again for the score. Number 88.
Like I said, completely untroubled on offense, the Philippines. The good thing is that, you know, Team China, spirits are still high. They were very vocal in their halftime huddle. I just think they've got to find some other different strategies on D, and I'm not sure if it's because they haven't really or not confident in the other type of zone defense, or they're just worried about the Philippines' speed on a match. I just think you've got to try something different. I mean, not only to try and get the break back, but just to give a different look, to try to give the Philippines something less expected and maybe put them on the back foot just with the change-up of formation.
Indeed, yes. As you join here in the action between China and Philippines. Just checking at the stream, we have a strong 216 people. Goodness, I was going to say 216,000. 216 people in the stream. Continuously watching this exciting match between China and Philippines.
I guess the other thing to note is that the roster sizes. So China have 19 players on their roster. Philippines are 24, and 5 doesn't sound like a lot of extra players, but when you're playing a 5-day tournament and you get to the pointy end, the rotations really count, John.
Indeed, yes. As you can see here, Dong, looking, sends it over to the other side. Liu gets it, gives it back to Dong. Dong, Blady forehand. You can see Neuer recognizing they're not giving him the long shot, so he's got to go back in. Excellent. As we thought it was going to be D here, and Neuer forced to be a handler now all of a sudden.
Yeah, but Struding is up to the task, quite happy to throw and go, although a travel is now called. So those quick feet going a little bit too quickly for Filipinos. We did find out at the halftime break that his athletic background is actually in track. He is a high-level 400-meter sprinter, so translating his skills well.
Whoa, amazing pass there, and a great grab.
What a reflex there by the Chinese receiver. That was Liu to number 6, Chen Yifan. That was a beautiful passage of play. China showing they not only have the long game, quite happy to throw and go with a small ball.
Indeed, that was just probably China's thinking. As you take a look at the replay here, and who was that? But none other than Dong.
And Dong from a basketball background, in fact. That little high release flick almost just looked like a little kind of basketball pass loop over as well. So Again, those skills translating well to the sport of ultimate. So, China D-line. What can they do here? I really hope they surprise me, John. Bring out a different defensive look.
But if I'm a betting man...
I don't know. I feel like I've gotten most of the bets right so far today, so it's about time for you to get one. Is that what we're saying?
No, I really think it's going to be a zone defense here. Unless they throw a match. But I think, to your point, Nav, let's go back to that excellent point. If it's a zone defense, got to be more aggressive.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
it's just going to be... All Philippines need to do is hold, right? And then they've won this game.
Exactly. And we'll see here. And I won that bet. It's going to be a zone defense here.
Better get you a lottery ticket.
Here we go.
They went through the first one, but this time they've contained it a little better.
And here, I think, notice a little more aggressiveness in the middle pack of there, trying to remove that forward pass. Probably this is what we're looking for, Avril.
Yeah, but it's tricky, right? Because that second wall, they did come in and squeeze that space, and they forced the Philippines back. But I think if you're forcing side to side, it's too big of a space for you down for to cover. Look, not despite best efforts, a diving bid there by the defender, but that overcommitment opens up the zone look for Philippines. Fairly easily, again, work it around that cup.
And here's Butil. Gives it to Awid. And Awid, gently sends it over. No problem there. Lamigo reading it in.
He caressed that disc to Lamigo, didn't he?
Caress is a better way to describe that indeed. But just what you're pointing out there, just too easy.
So I think the difficulty is that when you're forcing the disc side to side, in terms of the front wall, it's a lot of ground for the second wall to have to cover and bid. Whereas if you just force one way, it narrows up that channel. So it means that the bids can actually come because they know, you're forcing into this tight channel. This is the only space that I can kind of bait and then attack. And the same goes with the force middle, right? If you're channeling the disc through the middle of the field and then the next line of defense is set up to cover that middle, they only have a smaller channel to cover and a higher rate of success there with the defense. But anyway, Philippines looking the goods. This is, no shade on their offensive at all. Like I said, China taking away their preferred mode of delivery. No problem playing a patient O. I think China, they've just got to continue holding their O-line. The O-line's looking pretty strong. Like I said, other than those 2 breaks they've given up earlier in the first half, they've been looking quite smooth in the second.
Here's Dong. It looks like, hearing on the sideline, they're going to switch to a match person defense. Hearing Coach Fell there, and here's Dong. You can see Newer. Now part of that had, again, another cheeky bladey pass from Dong.
Both sides liking that almost vertical flick.
And here we go, Newer. And just like that, just too slow and fast for Liu.
Through the outstretched hands. I think a bit of a rush throw. Unfortunately for Team China, that was not what they wanted, not part of the plan to try and get back into this semi-final. So that was a cheeky little inside flick by Dong. Look, it was a good look and good space to attack by Nuer, but a little too low and just escapes the grasp.
And here's someone sprinting deep here from Philippines. Gonna see, but looks like Libo unholsters it. Said, let's stay patient here. No need to force the action.
Yeah, and this is a match defense for China to try to get possession back.
And here is Hortelano. Looks like a pick is going to be called in that stack.
So Hortelano drawing the matchup against Nuer quite a bit in this game. I think Hortelano has done particularly well to drive Nuer into the underspace, force him to get hands on disc instead of playing that big ball he so enjoys.
And I think it's good strategically because Nuer won't have a chance to see as they rip it through here. Philippines rips it through. Bang!
That was an insane huck and score. Philippines, as we've said, their D-line, once they get possession of the disc, they ain't giving it up. And that, as we see on the replay, perfectly weighted, rips it out of hands. This one, the defender was no way going to get there. And I really like the angle of attack here by the receiver. He kind of had a path towards the disc to make sure it shouldered out of it, and then just steps right at the last moment. That was Mariano with the score. Beautifully done by Team Philippines. Like we said, their D-line has been the winning factor here.
Yes, because it's forcing unfamiliar territory as far as offense goes for China. As you see, Newer, not used to him being that handler line. Probably that's forced that error there. As you can see here, look, in this game so far. And here we go, Philippines riding a 4-point lead. And we can see a lineup here with Guerrero, Sumbi, Sacapano, to name a few. And here's China. Let's see if they've got some gas left in this tank offensively. Oh, and they rip through a quick hawk. It's going to be won by Sacapano from the Philippines.
Sacapano here with the deep defense, out-reading the taller matchup. And Philippines, as we said, their D-line on song here. They look incredibly smooth, forging their path into the final. To see the big Huck, Chen rips. And this one, just the positioning, forcing the Chinese.
It looks like a turnover was caused there, and a quick Blady Hawk is going to be complete. Holy moly, and that was number 12, Yang Ziru. What a score.
That is only the first time that the Philippines D-line has given up possession when they've got it. So do we see some signs of life from China? As we have a look on the replay, just the open side, but steps in front. The receiver caught napping a little bit, didn't step through, and China a quick pickup. Defender caught unaware, and a completion. Dirty hold, but a hold still counts. And Nua here with the pulling duties. Oh, I see some crossover, John. So we see Leo number 11, Nua, as we know, number 20 with the disc in hand, Dong number 3. So they've brought on some of their stars from the offensive line across to play deep because they know the time is now.
Indeed. Especially that was crucial. They were able to hold that hold serve there. So sensing the anxiousness here, China does.
And I think it's a great time, right? This is the first time that the Philippines D-line have actually given up possession. And I know the O-line have been very good, but, you know, you've got to strike now when there's a tiny little bit of doubt in the minds. Oh, and that is a huge rip. Look at that float from Nua, but that is going to fade out the side. Just as I was giving him a G up.
Oh, just wanted to ask if he also played disc pull in track and field, because that was a high arcing pull there. Just sailed out of bounds, sadly.
He got the height, he got the distance, just not the direction.
Can't win them all, if you say.
All right, so Philippines, looks like they've set up a side stack.
It is indeed a side stack.
So they're probably looking for an isolation play here. I'm sure they're looking to get a quick score of their own. And the slash across, first cut not on, so has to duck under. Now they get the continuation.
And here's a quick hawk here for the Philippines. Oh, gets it!
Oh!
Bobbled and all! 1, 2, 3!
Had about 5 bites of the cherry, John. The Chinese defender kind of got caught looking at the disc, didn't realize the disc has gone up, just in time manages to flash in front. And I think that caused just enough hesitation, that small bob. As you see here, Liu accelerates, tries to get hands in the air, but way to stay concentrated. That was about 6 bobbles in the end before she controlled the disc. But Philippines What a way to get an efficient score, giving no chance for the power line of China to get in that point.
Yes, indeed. So we weren't able to see what kind of pressure that power line was going to give from China to Philippines.
I like that look, setting aside stack isolation play. Sure, they didn't get the first desired look, but they still managed to get the under and then the continuation on the open side. I mean, China did well to squeeze the play onto that narrow channel, but ultimately Philippines just too good at the moment.
Too good indeed. Again, pulling away here, 4 points. Not sure if China's got anything left here.
Yeah, and it's a different offensive line from China. The usual suspects of Dong, Nua, Liu, not on this offensive point. So maybe they are resting some of their stars so that they can give them another chance at the D line to peg one of these breaks back, trusting their teammates to get the job done on O.
And here he goes with China. Quick movement here.
Oh,
what a run-through block by Hortelano. Short field to be worked by the Philippines. Agnes shoots it in. Bang!
I agree with the bang. Also bubble disc, but again, good control on the other side of the field this time. Well done to Filipinas. As we said, they're staying laser focused in this game, making sure they power through and get some good momentum going into what's looking like the gold medal match. Number 44, well done to Libo on there for securing that catch. And Filipinas defense, yet another clean break.
Indeed, and actually just looking at that replay, it looks like Young Na actually handed that disc. So Libo on, great concentration to get that score, giving me that bang call.
Libo on?
Libo on.
So, as the dust settles, China again get another bite here. The usual suspects on the offensive line back out in force. You know, I think it's a bit of a reflection of the different stages of the programs here between the two nations. Philippines Ultimate has been developing for some time and played a lot of this international tournaments. And
Here's Dong, rips it through again, but looks like forced.
Yeah.
At that.
Yeah, immediately apologies from Dong. Puts the hand and says, yeah, look, my bad. That was just a poor decision. And yeah, like, it just shows the maturity of the Chinese program is not there yet. I'm sure that they're going to have a lot of success.
And just like that, in return, gives a hawk of their own. And Sumbi gets it here against Newer. Sumbi patient. Gives it to number 47. This is Guerrero, number 3.
Ooh.
Guerrero, squeezes it in. Cortez gets it to go.
What a beautiful score by Cortez. Certainly all of the Filipinos receivers having to work doubly hard at the moment, either through multiple bobbles or having to extend for a layout, but showing they're up to the task, up to the fight, as we said, primed to make the gold medal match, and just beautiful quick discs movement as we've known to see. Beautiful work by the Philippines.
Looks like Philippines are running away with this game as we quickly check on the other side of the semifinals. Last check, Singapore against Chinese Taipei, leading at 13-8 so far. So we'll see how that's going to play out. Going back here into action, it's a little too late here for China, Avril.
Yeah, look, respect to China, right? The O-line have done well in terms of a lot of clean holds. Obviously, they've gotten broken, but they've had a lot of clean holds. I think, look, the Chinese team maybe don't have the depth yet of the Philippines team,
correct.
right? And it's a reflection of the programs. China being more new to Ultimate and the international stage, developing program. I'm sure in the next cycle of 4 or so years, they're going to be up and about and pushing for these big matches through to, semis and medal matches as well. But right now, their O-line is getting the job mostly done. It's the D-line that aren't really able to make.
And here we go. A Hawk 101 battle. Gonna be sailing out. Unfortunately, as he smiles there.
Worth a shot and really bounding up for that catch. A nice one-handed grab. Just ran out of room in the end.
Indeed, indeed, indeed there, partner. Avril, as we look here at the replay.
I think he thought the line on the other field might have been the inbounds line. Fair enough.
And I liked how he took a little pause and then smiled and laughed, knowing, oh, I'm a little too far than I wanted to be. Oh, and a diving catch by Agnes. Agnes again.
There's a tip on that disc and
Indeed.
intercepted.
And here we go, China. Trying to rally a short momentum. Philippines poaching up a little bit there. Trying to stop that upline. Gets it back here, China does. That was Cheng. Gives it back. Oh, some miscommunication there between Chen and the handler, forcing that turnover.
Thrown just as the receiver had turned around to cut under.
Here's Hortelano. Gives it number 2. Hortelano. To Rebusa. Abing. Gives it back to Agnes. Agnes swings it all the way the other side to Saludes. And this is it for Philippines. Indeed, as they punch their ticket to the finals.
And well-deserved play. Philippines always looked in control throughout the match. They weren't hampered at all by Team China. As we said, clean holds all round. The Philippines offense being so stingy, only giving away not giving away any possessions at all. The D-line getting to work with some clean holds. And China, you know, they'll be pleased with their efforts in this tournament. Making a semi-finals, nothing to sneeze at. And we've uncovered some fantastic starts, so I'm looking forward to seeing in the future and seeing what their peak is after some more development in their program.
Indeed there, Avril, as we can see. And this is actually a huge showing of the Philippines as they were surprisingly knocked out from 2 years ago against New Zealand in that mixed division. So it's good to see how they've recovered and look like they've locked in terms of getting another chance of gold. But again, going back to China, it's great to see that they've continuously developed this young team, this young nation of ultimate frisbee there, Avril.
Yeah, and I think they could take a page from the Philippines book, right? In terms of Philippines having hosted some big tournaments. We know the last edition of the Asia Oceanic Championships in 2023 in Manila, and obviously the Manila Spirits every year, very well attended from international teams. China now also starting to open up some tournaments to international teams. I think that's also going to be a way for them to help develop their sport and increase the visibility. Obviously, Chengdu, the World Games recently hosted in China too. I think they're doing all of those right things, you know, following the process. It's just a matter of time until we see some maybe Chinese dominance in the near future.
Indeed, and it just look at this huddle. It looks like they're locking in, already forgetting about that game, already focusing on another match. As we take a look at how that game is going to be going on, seems that Singapore is still leading that game 13-8 with the score. And here, as you see, the Philippines team already focusing, already giving instructions for the next game. This has been an exciting match. And I love it here in terms of the next game. We'll have an exciting match between semis, between Ellipses versus Mud. We'll stay tuned on that in terms of 3 p.m. later. And thanks for everyone joining in the stream, right? 216 people, including Rico Devero, who's been a favorite fan of ours, a favorite fan of myself. So, indeed, this has been a great match to call. And we'll be back for a short break. And my name is Jonathan, together with Avril, and this is the Asia Oceanic Ultimate Championships, live from Kamisu. We'll be back after a short break.